At Wind River Resort and Casino, we like to celebrate life's little moments. Oh, and the big ones too, because around here, when you're completely in the moment, that's when the magic happens. Come in and find your moment at Wind River Resort and Casino.
And here we go. We've got the rain that's finally arrived. We've got snow in the higher elevations. We've got, as of right now, last check, I didn't see any chain requirements, but I think that will be changing here through the morning hours. Good morning, everyone. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Krueger, Weather NorCal. Thank you so much for joining us here on Coffee with Krueger. Of course, we've been talking about this rain all week long. And you know what? Right on schedule, it has pretty much arrived. Now, we're still seeing fairly dry conditions off into the eastern mountains, in particular for Lassen, Plumas, and we're just beginning to see some very light precipitation making its way into Modoc County at the current hour. But of course, we've got showers in the valley. This is nothing terribly heavy at this point. And in fact, what we're seeing here will probably start to kind of turn over to scattered showers as we take you through the rest of the day today. Before we get to that, I just want to say good morning to everybody and how you doing? We've got a couple of people checking in here this morning. We have got James and Mandy Chapel saying, good morning. Finally, some rain, lots of rain. LOL. And that is exactly the case here. In fact, you know what? Let's get right into it and take you right into Krueger's Quick Cast to get you out the door here for this morning. For those of you that are checking in, want to know what to expect for today. Now, what you'll notice first and foremost, temperatures. They are not nearly as cold for everyone. Why? Because of clouds. Secondly, another thing you'll notice, rain. And of course, snow in the higher elevations. That's the other thing. So we don't have the clear skies and very cold conditions. We've got the cloudy skies and wet conditions. And that's why it is warmer out there. And you see those temperatures in the higher elevations, in places like Mount Shasta, Bernie, for example, kind of in that borderline where we're seeing that kind of the rain and rain-snow mix. So out the door this morning, 8 a.m., some of the higher elevations in Trinity County, a bit of a rain-snow mix, otherwise just rain, really. The North Coast, the Valley showers, Siskiyou County, I think Mount Shasta eventually could see it, a little bit of snow. And quite honestly, we have to get just a little bit cold enough. We have to get it heavy enough, and I think we could eventually start to see some of that in the form of snow and maybe some accumulating snow in Mount Shasta today. Modoc County, of course, this morning looking fairly dry, and of course, eventually I do think in the next hour or so we'll start to see that shift eastward, and many of the eastern mountains will start to see some of that precipitation as well. So if you look at the clouds that have moved over us right now, that's the first storm system. The second one off at the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, that's the second storm system, and that's what's coming in this weekend. The winds have picked up already, especially along the coast, 20, even over 30 miles per hour, and stronger gusts in some cases here. Central Siskiyou County, this is where we're running into some problems there with some very gusty winds. This could create some problems when it comes to, travel, right? So there you can see there's a high wind warning until 7 o'clock this evening with gusts between 40 and 50 miles per hour, and a wind advisory until 4 o'clock this afternoon for Del Norte and Humboldt counties, with gusts also in the 40 to 50 mile an hour range. So yes, we could be looking at the potential for some power outages, I think, in some areas here. So let's take a look at the forecast wind gusts here through the morning. I mean, especially look at central Siskiyou County. Look at northeastern Siskiyou County. Very strong winds. You're seeing some of those deep reds. That's over 50 miles per hour. Now the coast, over the ocean, that's where you're seeing the strongest winds, right? 50 miles per hour plus. But look at Eureka, look at Crescent City, 20, 35, even close to 40 miles per hour. And the valley's starting to see those winds pick up. Now, later this afternoon and evening, the winds are at least subsiding, but still breezy, still gusty for the coast. Still very strong in central Siskiyou County and even eastern Siskiyou County, seeing some strong winds. And especially for the foothills east of the valley, still some strong winds at 6 p.m. And breezy for the valley and a little gusty off to the east. For tonight, tomorrow morning, notice Plumas County. We're seeing a lot of those mountain peaks ridges, ridge tops, seeing some very strong winds, and even some of those foothills east of the valley, still some strong winds here for Saturday morning. And Warner Mountains in Modoc County seeing some strong winds. Otherwise, it's overall, the winds are certainly going to be calmer. Another thing we need to talk about is the rain that has moved in. That's giving us a flood watch until Sunday evening. That's right, for today through Sunday. Rain may lead to rises in creeks and streams and rivers. Sacramento River, for example, even along the coast, there's that potential as well. We have to watch that. But that, again, is through the weekend. All right, let's take a look at Futurecast here for today. And there it is this morning. The rain has moved in. Getting a report from Sarah saying, good morning, it's raining hard in Hayfork. All right, there you go. Nice confirmed report. But notice it's breaking apart. You see how some areas are kind of seeing just some scattered showers. We could even see a few isolated thunderstorms, especially north and west of the valley. So Trinity County, Del Norte, Humboldt, Western Siskiyou. Again, maybe an isolated thunderstorm. Snow levels 3,000 to 4,000 feet. Now by the afternoon, the snow levels will start to climb a little bit, but still about 3,500 to 4,500 feet. Scattered showers continue in the valley, scattered showers west of that as well, and we're still seeing some of the snow. So chain requirements are going to be a possibility. Taking you into tonight, tomorrow, this is midnight tonight. We're seeing a bit of a break, I think, for most of us. I think in particular, Plumas County may not, and then it starts to fill in again. That's that second storm system I was talking about over the Pacific right now. That's going to give everybody rain. Now notice the cutoff. Del Norte County, and then south of Del Norte County is where it's wet. We're going to talk about a lot more detail, and is why that is. But I don't think we're going to see a lot of rainfall for Del Norte County, even northern Humboldt County in particular, and even parts of Siskiyou County in particular, and for a good reason, which again, we'll get into that a little bit later. You see all the winter weather advisories, there's just too much to dive into there. This map continues to morph and change, and will morph and change over the weekend. So this is just basically an illustration to show you that the National Weather Service has their eyes on it, and they're issuing watches, warnings, and advisories for snow. We've got snow in the forecast for the higher elevations, which again, we'll get into more detail on that a little bit later too. But there you can see the ski report looking good. Who is going out to the ski park? Well, be sure to pack your chains, that's for sure, because it'll be snowing up there today. It'll be snowing up there probably even parts of the weekend too. But through Sunday, Mount Shasta Ski Park could see 1 to 2 feet of snow, and maybe a couple of feet of snow up at the peak of the summit of the ski park. All right, so forecast road conditions. Here we go. Look at that. By 8 o'clock, you see how it's starting to fill in. So I-5, you may run into problems. Now, we're not looking at blue, any light blue or dark blue. Light blue and dark blue is basically snow. When you start getting into the reds and the pinks, what that's saying is it could be a mix. It could be all snow. Sometimes it's borderline. So that's what we're looking at on I-5. That's what we're looking on Highway 89. I think Highway 89 will be snow. But look at Highway 299. Look at Highway 36 west. We're not seeing much out there. But again, we take it to 10 a.m., take it to the noon hour. We're still seeing some of that snow in some areas. And how about tonight? How about tomorrow morning? It continues. In fact, can continue to be a problem here tonight, tomorrow morning, even possibly on I-5, even though we should eventually start to see those snow levels begin to climb a little bit here. Now, take a look at this. I don't see anything, and I'm going to double check to make sure there aren't any chain requirements out there. Latest check. Looks like we are chain restriction free at this point. But let's take a look at some of the cameras out there and see what it looks like. There's a look at Dunsmuir. There's a look at I-5 Mount Shasta. Now, it looks like, if you look closely, I think I see some slush on the side of the road there. I think I see some snow accumulating on the grassy areas. It's happening. I think it's going to eventually transition to snow accumulating on that roadway too. Look at Snowman Summit. There it is. It's snowing up there. So we will most likely, I would venture to guess, it's only a matter of time that we're going to start seeing those chain requirements start lighting up across the region. Now, this is not Buckhorn Summit itself that you're looking at on the left part of your screen. That's the kind of the just below the summit. It's about 1,000 feet, actually, a little less than that. So you can see it's rain. It's wet at Oregon Mountain. It's wet on Berry Summit, so things are okay there for now. Take a look at Hatchet Mountain on Highway 299 East. No chain requirements yet, but that may change. I'm glad to see that that person's slowing down. There you can see Highway 299, Four Corners, right? 89 as well. Looks good. Cedar Pass, dry for now. I think that'll change here over the next 12 to 24 hours. Kind of misty, a little mist out in Shingletown, but Lassen Park, look at that. Got the snow going on. Bogard Ranger Station, doesn't look like we're seeing much there now, but that should change as well. This is near Chester. That will change. It's still pushing to the east, so it really hasn't made its way to Chester yet. Still hasn't made its way to Fredonia Summer yet, but that'll change. Now, I can tell you about all the road conditions all I want, but you have a great resource. Go to weathernorcal.com. In fact, since I'm here at my desk and I can show you, I'm going to go ahead and take you there right now. Let's go to weathernorcal.com. All right, we're going to scroll down here, and you see right here, it says road conditions. Click on that. Here's the cool part. So what you can do, number one, here's a quick link to go to Quick Map for Caltrans. This will show you all the latest road conditions. I'm going to click on it. We'll show you and take you to a different page. Now, there's a chance that it may not be set to change. So go up here in the very left, see it says Options, then go to Road Conditions, and make sure Chain Controls is checked. Sometimes when you go to this for the first time, Chain Controls is not checked, and you got to make sure they are. And then you can, of course, see there are no chain requirements. Back to weathernorcal.com. Now, again, if you want to check out the cameras, you can, right? You can click on all the different cameras. That's great. But if you want a quick glance for each highway, there's I-5, a quick glance, Fondale, right? There's a quick glance on Highway 89 and Highway 97, right? There's Snowman Summit, you can see it. There's a quick glance at 299 West, a quick glance at Highway 299 East, Highway 44, Highway 36, both of those east. And then, of course, Highway 395 as well. So you can see I've taken all the more popular cameras, and you can very quickly and very easily see what's going on out there. It's just a great resource. I love it. I go to it myself on a regular basis, especially. And by the way, you can look at this from the app. Just click on the road conditions section, and you can look at all these cameras right here at a quick glance. You can do it from your phone on the website as well. Very cool. I love this website. I love that page. So yeah, go to weathernorcal.com, click on the road conditions, and you'll get all of that great resource and information. All right, let's take a look at our forecast for today. And there you have it. Temperatures in the upper 40s to around 50 in the valley, 30s and 40s for the mountains, mid 50s for the coast. All right, let's go ahead and take a look now at your 7-day outlook for the valley. And what we're looking at here, of course, is wet weather. There you can see, of course, temperatures dropping for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Take note of those temperatures dropping because that will be significant. Look at Weaverville, 3,000 feet today, 5,000 feet over the weekend, 3,000 feet Monday, 2,000 feet possibly Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of next week. Could we be looking at snow in those lower elevations? Take a look at Mount Shasta. Of course, I think we'll see some today. I think we'll see some, of course, we're already seeing it. Bit of a mix right now in Mount Shasta. Maybe higher elevation, you're seeing even more. But down to 2,000 feet by Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 2,500 feet for Alturas and Susanville. It's happening. It is going to happen. All right, before we get to our deeper dive and kind of check in with some of you here, let's take a look at some of the cameras out there this morning. You can see Lake Oroville. Looks like, of course, we're seeing a little bit of wet weather there. Looks like a little bit of a sheen. We haven't seen a ton of rain so far in Chico this morning, but again, that's going to be changing as all this shifts to the east. There's Highway 99 at Neal Road. Doesn't look too bad. We're seeing a little bit of a sheen on the road, so it looks like there has been some light rain there this morning. It is wet roads on Highway 44, Sundial Bridge Drive. Let's take a look at our camera out there on the coast. Of course, this is looking at Elk Country, just north of Trinidad. We're going to take a look at the camera in Crescent City. Let's get to it right here. There you can see it. The winds are blowing. Of course, we were talking about that, the wind advisory up there. You can easily see gusts 40 to 50 miles per hour up there. So it's blowing the rain sideways a little bit there. And of course, you've got that wet weather as well. I'm going to take you back to that and take you back to Elk Country. And I'm going to reset this camera here and see if we can see what it looks like out at... Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Give me a second here. Let's load it up. And we'll go ahead and get this going here. Just a second. We're going to take a look at Mount Shasta out at the ski park. Oh, look at that. This right here, if you are a skier, if you're a snowboarder and you've been going up there this season, oh, look at that. I got to take my son out there today for alpine practice. I'm bringing my chains, that's for sure, because it's going to be a mess getting out there. But less fresh snow on the Mount Shasta Ski Park. You can bet anybody who works there and the people who work at Mount Shasta Ski Park are dancing right now. I'd love to see them maybe out there dancing right now. But yeah, that's awesome. Awesome. I'm going to check one other resource on the web. I'm going to see if I can I think I might be able to find it here. Hold on one second. Seems like the Sundial Bridge Drive camera has been down. No, it's not. Let's take a look at the Sundial Bridge camera here, and kind of hard to see, but it's probably, as Bon Jovi would say, slippery when wet. But yes, it is, yeah, there you go. We're seeing some wet weather out there. What a welcomed sight. Well, what do you say we get to well, actually, let's check in with some of you this morning before we really get to the deeper dive forecast, because some of you are chiming in here this morning, and we are going to see what everybody's up to. What do you say we do that? Shall we? Let's do it. Have a little fun. Let's chat with some of you this morning. If you're up for it, we can do it. Good morning, Mike. Thanks for the weather report. That's from Mark Olson. We've got Curtis Brown saying, good morning, Mike and everyone. Wet, but not raining right now. Was expecting it this early. Wasn't expecting it this early. Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things. It'll eventually get here. We'll get you there for you. We got Shelly from Weaverville, I believe, saying, good morning, Mike. Stay dry out there, and thank you for the updates. Enjoy that coffee. All right. Yes, you too, if you're enjoying that coffee. Krista saying, good wet morning. Ooh. Yes, Shelly saying, looks like we might get snow. Yes, probably next week. Next week is what that's looking like. So there you go. Fun. I always love checking in with you all and having the good times and all that good stuff. Oh, did we do this? We haven't done this yet. Let's do, before we get to the deeper dive forecast, we have got our pet of the week. Check it out.
This is Katrina from Haven Humane Society, and this is our wonderful pet of the week I would like to introduce to you. This is Janae. She's about 2 years old. We think she's a border collie mix, but she's definitely on the smaller side, so definitely good for a lot of households if they don't have a ton of space. But Janae is very sweet. She can be a little shy at first meeting with people, but she's very cuddly. She's very treat and toy motivated, and she's done well with other dogs. We think a good home for Janae would just be any home that is fairly active. Being a border collie, she definitely wants something to do. She wants to play. She wants to run around. She's not really much of a couch dog. But we think she's going to be a really good fit for pretty much any home that can give that to her and is very patient with her, and just has a lot of time to spend. So if you're interested in Janae, you can always give us a call at 530-241-1653, and we can't wait to find a wonderful home for this wonderful girl.
So there you have it. If you're interested in adopting Janae, be sure to check that out. Well, what do you say we get ourselves to the deeper dive forecast? No longer delay here. We are going to mention our sponsor, of course, at Wind River Resort and Casino. Enjoy friendly service, a wide variety of specials and promotions, plus all of your favorite slots and table games. I want to thank Wind River for their support. Hey, let's start off with the radar, shall we? And then you can see, of course, the rain's been kind of pushing eastward. So really what we're seeing here is we're not seeing really heavy rainfall, at least for the valley right now. Did get a report that it is some heavier rainfall out towards the Hayfork area and parts of Trinity County, as to be expected, because what we've got to do first, in order for that rain to get heavier, we've got to really saturate that atmosphere first. The atmosphere has been very dry, so the rain coming through, it's having a hard time kind of keeping itself together because it's trying to evaporate, but eventually it just kind of the atmosphere oversaturates. We start to see the rain, and then it gets even more saturated. So you look off to the east here, you've got fairly dry conditions at this point for most of Modoc, Lassen, and even Plumas counties, but this is all pushing eastward here. Everywhere else seeing that rain, and of course we've got some of that snow in the higher elevations. Looks like we're seeing a little bit of snow in Mount Shasta. We saw that on the cameras, and we'll take another look at that here in a second. Mainly in the form of rain for Highway 299. Looks like a bit of a mix and maybe some snow out on Highway 36 West, so there may eventually be some chain requirements there. I do expect to eventually see the snow get heavier here. We're already seeing snow accumulating on some of these mountain highways east of I-5, and again, we'll take a look at some of those cameras to kind of show that proof there, but this is all going to be moving eastward here through the rest of the morning. So there are your temperatures right now. It's cooling off, but the thing is, not nearly as cold as it has been the last few mornings, and the reason being overcast and wet weather, and that's keeping those temperatures up. So you can see here, Mount Shasta 35, yes, that does still support snowflakes, but still hard for it to accumulate. So we got to get that temperature down a bit. Once it gets heavier, that will eventually allow those temperatures to maybe drop a bit. 34 in Boerne, yeah, maybe a mix there as well. 37 in Chester, 32 Quincy, 37 for Alturas. And look at the coast. I mean, with the combination of the winds and the rain, your temperatures are very mild right now. All right, so taking a look at your weather headlines. It all starts today. We've been talking about it all week long. It's finally here, and it starts today. Snow could lead to chain requirements. As I mentioned, last check, we're not seeing them, but that may change. Flood advisory for the Sacramento Valley and foothills. Yes, we've got enough rainfall out there that flooding is going to maybe be a bit of a concern here, but unsettled weather pattern looks like it'll continue through next week. And by the way, it's going to be windy out there. It's already. We saw that on the Crescent City camera there at the Harbor District camera, blowing that camera in the wind. We're going to see those gusts over 30 miles per hour already. We're seeing those gusts very strong out towards the north as well. There's a high wind warning for central Siskiyou County until 7 o'clock this evening, a wind advisory for Del Norte and Humboldt counties. Again, those winds will be very strong. Let's take a look at the timeline of that. So this morning, very strong, as you can see, especially for central and eastern Siskiyou County. The Warner Mountains seeing some gusty winds, and even off to the east, and there it is along the coast as well. Let's take you to midday. Winds are picking up here for the valley, especially the east side of the valley, the foothills. Still very strong in Shasta Valley in central Siskiyou County, eastern Siskiyou. Winds subsiding, though, later on this afternoon. Now, by tonight, tomorrow morning, midday Saturday, we're seeing calmer winds, but still, look at Plumas County. We're actually going to probably see gusty winds here, especially those mountain ridge tops here, through the entire weekend. You can see this little cluster of where we're seeing the strong winds, Warner Mountains as well, but everywhere else, the winds don't look to be that much of an issue. Yeah, a little breezy at times, but most of it will be in Plumas County. Again, a lot to unpack here. Bottom line, the National Weather Service is issuing either a warning, a watch, or a winter weather advisory. Just so you know, there's going to be snow out there and you need to be aware of it. Now, taking a look at the projections on snow, I think there's the potential, and I think most of the snow that Mount Shasta City will see will be today, because once those snow levels start to rise, it'll probably turn back over to rain. Now, I do expect to also see that potential here as well. Chester may be seeing some. We could see a mix in Boerne. We could see maybe a light dusting in Fall River Mills. Shingletown, 3,500 feet, hard pressed. Higher elevations of Shingletown, as you get closer to Viola, better chance to maybe see some accumulating snow there. Alturas, I think you could maybe see some accumulating snow, as well as maybe Susanville, Quincy, and Portola. But otherwise, Weaverville, Hayfork, not yet. It's not until next week that we may be adding some numbers there. And of course, out to the west here, not seeing that happen either. All right, let's take a look at those road conditions here real quickly. And you can see here as we go through the morning, the red is basically saying, all right, it's going to be a winter precipitation. It could be a mix, it could be some ice, it could even be snow. So that's essentially what we're looking at here. Potential for chain requirements on I-5 this morning and even into the midday hours. You see it kind of breaks apart a little bit here. But Highway 299, Highway 36, Not a ton going on there. And then you can see Friday, today at 5 p.m., it kind of fills back in again. More off to the east as well, so plenty of chain requirements east of I-5 as we typically see. And the reason being is just a lot of the mountain passes are much higher east of I-5. 3 a.m. on Saturday, yeah, we still, even tomorrow morning, even Saturday morning, there still could be the potential on I-5 and Highway 89. All right, let's take a look at the chain requirements to see if anything's filled in yet. Don't see it. Don't see any chain requirements just yet, but I think give it another hour or two, and I think we'll start seeing that here. All right, let's take a look at the cameras here. This is a look at Dunsmuir, rain. If you look closely, I think I see snow right there. That's at I-5. That's basically the intersection where it intersects with Highway 89. Right there, I see a little bit of snow. Not on the road yet, but that will change probably soon. And there's Snowman Summit. Snowman Hill is also seeing some of that snow. Buckhorn Summit, this is below Buckhorn Summit, about 800 feet or so. You can see it's rain right now. Oregon Mountain looks like rain, as well as Berry Summit, all rain at this point. And then, of course, we take it Highway 299 East, Hatchet Mountain. We've got snow there. We've got rain, looks like Four Corners region. I don't know, that looks like a little bit of a mix. Oh, what are we at, 3,100 feet? Yeah, maybe. And then Cedar Pass looks dry for now, but I think that'll be changing here later this afternoon. There's Shingletown, a bit of a mist, right? It's kind of misty out there, a little wet, but not snow. Lassen Park, looks like we've seen some snow up there. And there's Bogard Ranger Station. Looks like they've seen a little bit of a dusting there, but nothing too terribly intense at this point. Taking a look at Highway 36, this is Highway 36 East, obviously. Chester, looks like we're beginning to see some wintry precipitation, a bit of a mix right now. You can see out towards Fredonia Summit. Doesn't look like we've got going on much there right as well. But again, real quickly, want to remind you that there's a cool, awesome web page that I've made here on weathernorcal.com. So if you go to the web page, weathernorcal.com homepage, right here, you scroll down, you'll see road conditions. And I put a great resource for a quick link to a quick map from Caltrans, and also a quick glance at all the more popular cameras at one quick glance and see what's going on out there. Again, weathernorcal.com, click on those road conditions. All right, so here's what's going on. Here's the big picture. You can see this is the area of low pressure. This is what's moving through right now, giving us the rain and snow, and of course the wind. Behind it is the next storm system. And all of this is that subtropical moisture that's going to be moving into Northern California. You could call it an atmospheric river, whatever you want to call it. But it's plenty of moisture aimed right at Northern California. So again, today, this weekend, so we got more of that coming in. Now, let's talk about the atmospheric river and the impacts it will have on us and where it's going to be pointed. So here you see, this is where that stream of moisture is this is intense. This is where you're getting some of those highest amounts of moisture. We're even seeing some blues in there, folks, and that's when you start really getting the most moist air. Now, it starts to kind of taper off as far as the amount of moisture, but we're still seeing plenty of moisture aimed right at Northern California. But the key is, where exactly is the brunt of that moisture being pointed? And I'll tell you what, it's mainly pointed over Sacramento and the Bay Area. Now, the definition of an atmospheric river is a narrow column of moisture aimed at a particular region. There it is. There's your narrow column of moisture. Now notice, you go from dry to wet very quickly. So you can go from very wet conditions, you go up 25, 50 miles, and then it's suddenly very dry. That's essentially, so you'll notice we are at the very northern end of where the wet conditions meet the dry conditions. Now remember this when we're talking about and looking at futurecasts, because you're going to see that line of rain where it's raining and then where it's not raining. And I think places like Delnor County, Northern Humboldt County, even Siskiyou County probably won't see as much rain as everybody else to the south. And then I think for us here in Northern California in general, especially Redding, and then maybe down towards Corning, as you start heading southward, you get more and more rain. So Redding, not as much rain as, say, places like Chico. Chico, not as much rain as, say, places like Sacramento. Because again, it's mainly pointed right here, and on either side of it, you start getting drier and drier. All right, so we're talking about that. So you can see here as we go through Sunday, look, it hasn't moved much. Hasn't moved much at all. we're getting cut off a little bit from the amount of moisture coming in. But then on Monday, we have low pressure diving down to the south. What that's going to do, it's going to push that atmospheric river down a little bit, and what that will do is go from here, and then as this comes down, this will tilt up, and that's why we're seeing more rain coming in on Monday. But then this cold air continues to dive down to the south, and it pushes that atmospheric river to the south, and we're no longer under the influence of an atmospheric river at that point, but there's still some moisture out there, cold air moving in, and that's going to allow our snow levels to drop. And that's why we were talking about potential for snow, places like Weaverville, Hayfork, for example. So, again, looking at where the main atmospheric river is pointed, where the center of it is pointed, you take a look at the North State, we're mainly in the blue, atmospheric river 1. You see how we kind of barely just in some areas maybe touch the green? That's where you see that potential for mudslides, debris flows, and of course maybe a potential for some minor flooding. And then you start getting into yellow, very good chance of mudslide, debris flows, and flooding. So let's take a look to the south, the Bay Area. Look at that, you're getting in the yellows. And then of course you see a little drop, and then Monday kind of goes up again, and again more of it into the green, and then it drops off by Tuesday into Wednesday. But again, this really illustrates what we were just looking at with that atmospheric river map, where it's mainly pointed to our south. We are within the column of moisture, but most of it is to our south, around the Bay Area and Sacramento. So we look at the categories 1 through 5, 5 being the strongest. We're mainly in category 1, which means just some good rain heading our way. You start getting a little bit of the greens, which we're seeing it barely touch it. We could see the potential for some minor flooding, maybe a mudslide, debris flow. And then better chances for that once you do get into AR3. All right, so that's kind of looking at the different categories. So we look at the flash flood risk, and there you can see the areas of green is that potential for today. Notice what happens tomorrow. Heavier rainfall, I think, down towards Chico, because it's going to be shifting a little bit to the south. So we'll see less rainfall in the north. Notice we're not seeing that potential for flooding to the north because we won't see as much rain there. But then by Sunday, we see more rain. And because at this point, by the time we get into Sunday, the ground will be very saturated because we'll be getting so much rain that the ground can't hold any more rain or water. And then it kind of goes off into the creeks and streams. They start rising. We see the potential for some minor flooding. So that's what's going on through the weekend. As a result, the National Weather Service has issued a flood watch until Sunday evening. Now, this may be extended into Monday because we've got more rain even coming in on Monday. All right, what you've probably been waiting for. Let's take a look at Futurecast. Here it is. This morning, the rain moving in, very clearly what we're seeing right now. Not as wet off to the east. We're starting to see some of that snow down to about 3,000, 3,500 feet, somewhere in that range. So 3,000 to 4,000 feet, I think that's a pretty good range here that we're seeing here, even through midday. Notice it's not as widespread at this point, and it's beginning to break apart. So some areas seeing at least drier conditions, or the rain itself won't be as heavy. And there will be periods of moderate to heavy rainfall for some of us. Gusty winds, keep that in mind too. 5 p.m. today. You see, again, it's breaking apart, but you see how we're still seeing that potential for some snow near Mount Shasta. But I think by this time, it may transition over to a bit of a mix. Bit of a break late tonight, early tomorrow morning for most of us, and then that next round of rain comes in. Now, remember I was talking about the center of that atmospheric river is pointed at the Bay Area, but we're still within that column. Look at this, 8 a.m. Saturday. There it is. There's a north end of that column of air, moist air to the south. Notice the rain gets heavier and heavier as you head down to the south. But look at Crescent City. Look, it's kind of breaking. We're seeing drier conditions. Look at this, out towards Siskiyou County, northern Humboldt, Crescent City, Del Norte, dry. Again, we've got the rain here because we're within the atmospheric river. Outside of the atmospheric river, dry conditions. Now, this is going to be kind of, going up and down a little bit here through the weekend. So there are going to be times when you head up north towards like Klamath, for example, and maybe even Crescent City, and of course to the north out towards Wairika, Dorst, maybe seeing some showers through the day on Saturday. But for the most part, most of the rain is down to our south. That's where the heaviest rainfall is going to be. And then we go into Sunday, Same situation, right? We have the drier air, the column, but notice it's kind of breaking apart. We're seeing kind of, remember we were showing you the atmospheric river. By Sunday, it was showing that the amount of moisture coming in was a little bit weaker, but we're still seeing that constant flow and we still have that rain moving through. Now, here's the other thing that I'm watching. Look at this. We've got some colder air coming down from the north. I think that could lower those snow levels down to about 3,500, 4,500 feet. Maybe even towards northern Lassen County, but we still have the warmer air here, and that's going to keep those snow levels higher. So I do think lower snow levels here, higher to the south. It's going to be kind of that weird mix of that colder and warmer air trying to move in. So here's how much rain we can expect, possibly, right? This is just estimates. So again, this illustrates it. Quite honestly, I think it might be overdoing it for Crescent City, but you get the idea. And most of what you're seeing here is for today. Then you can see Redding, an inch, a little over an inch, but look at Chico, more. Because you see this heavy concentration of rain right here? This, again, is where we're seeing most of the moisture, and then, of course, even to the south of that, it'd be even more. So that's what we're kind of dealing with here as far as that moisture content. Now we're talking about that flood advisory. Take a look at the Sacramento River forecast. Now this is going to be changing and something we'll be monitoring through the weekend. This is the only one I could find that's at least getting into what's called the action stage, just below the minor flood stage. But it's expected to, look at the timeline here, by Monday, Tuesday, it's starting to rise. So the flood stage is at 209.5 feet. I mean, we'll be below that by, more than a foot, but it's getting close. And there is a potential that some of these monitoring stations along the Sacramento River could potentially see some minor flooding. And even on the coast, out towards Elk Creek, for example, you could be looking at that. Or, Eel River. So the wetter than normal conditions here is what we're looking at here in the long range. Good news, right? Although it's not such great news when we start talking about flooding, but, that's sometimes some of the give and take, if you will. And then we go into Saturday, those winds picking back up again, and possibly those wave heights as well. So there's your marine forecast. South winds at 20 to 25 knots, waves from the south at 8 feet at 7 seconds, and from the west at 4 feet at 10 seconds. There's a gale warning here for today, again, because of those strong gusty winds. All right, here it is. Wrapping up your forecast here. Here's your Trinity County neighborhood forecast. And look at, so you think about the 7-day forecast we've been dealing with the last several weeks. It's just been sun, 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 warm, 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 and mild, and cold in the morning. Now it's clouds and rain and snow. Once again, 2,000 feet by Tuesday, could be looking at snow for places like Weaverville, Hayfork, as we go into Tuesday, possibly Wednesday, and even Thursday. Here's your North Coast neighborhood forecast to the south. Garberville, about 54. Now, what we're looking at here as we go into Monday, again, we saw that atmospheric river, last little rush of atmospheric river moisture coming in on Monday, and then it just turns over to scattered showers for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday with the colder air and snow down to 2,000 feet in some of the lowest locations. Ferndale today, 56, 54 degrees in Hydesville, 50 out in Willow Creek, 49 degrees for Hoopa, 56 degrees for Trinidad. Up north, about 49 degrees for Klamath, 49 degrees for Orleans, 47 in Gas Key and Smith River, about 53 degrees. Your Siskiyou County neighborhood forecast, temperatures in the mid-40s for your I-5 corridor down to Gazelle, temperatures in the upper 40s for Highway 96, Scott Valley, 43, looking at 43 for Fort Jones, that is, 42 in Greenview and Etna, and 41 degrees in Callahan. And to central and eastern Siskiyou County, temperatures in the 30s and 40s for your daytime highs. Here's your Modoc County neighborhood forecast. Newell 43 today, as well as Alturas, 42 in Cedarville, Fort Bidwell 43. So many towns. Sometimes you kind of mix them all together as if you've got one in your mind there. 41 degrees for Hat Creek. What am I saying? Hat Creek. 38 degrees for Fall River Mills, 42 in Montgomery Creek, and 45 degrees in Paynes Creek. Why am I like, I don't know, what's going on here? All right, so there you can see Lassen Park. There's a look at Chester. There is Lake Almanor. Around the perimeter of the lake, temperatures upper 30s to around 40 today. And of course, much, much colder out at Lassen Park. Take you to the south, out towards Paradise with a high of 48 degrees. 39 in Greenville and Janesville, a high of about 40 degrees. Here's your Valley neighborhood forecast brought to you by Walgamuth Painting. just a big area of 50-degree temperatures. 49 degrees for Paskenta. There's your Oroville 7-day forecast. Let's take a look at your Chico 7-day forecast, and there you have it. Off and on rain for Groundhog Day, rainy sky, rainy conditions here, and then continue that chance for rain through Thursday of next week. Let's take you up to the north. City of Shasta Lake, about 47, 49 degrees for Palo Cedro, 49 in Cottonwood, and Lakehead, about 44 degrees. And looking at your 7-day outlook for Redding, of course, no surprises there, right? We've been talking about the wet weather. The wet weather is going to continue here through the weekend. It'll continue to Monday. That last little push of that moisture coming in on Monday, and then low 50s by Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Whew. That's a lot. You know, when we got so much. When I decided to start Weather NorCal, I really wanted to give more attention to a lot of these, outlying communities, especially in the mountains, outside of the valley. We all know the bread and butter is in the valley. That's where the highest population is. That's where you want to really focus a lot of your attention on. I get that, but I also want people who live outside the area to have that information. And of course, people, as you're going out, if you're in the valley and you're going out to these areas, you want to know what's going on out there as well. So it's good for everybody. But it's a lot of work. I want to show you something. This is my forecast sheet. You can see right here that I kind of do every morning. And I have got a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I've got to do 12 total 7-day forecasts. And of course, those 7-day forecasts then kind of go around the whole region. And so I've got to do snow levels, I've got to do highs and lows for the day. It's a lot of work. It takes a lot of time. And then of course, when I'm up here doing the forecast, it's like I get out of breath because I'm just going and going and going and going. There's so much information to get out there, especially on days like this. So, it's definitely one of those things you're like, all right, I'm done. I can take a breather. Let's see here. We've got a couple of people kind of checking in this morning. Nice wet morning to you all. We've got Marcia saying good morning and Debbie Castro saying good explanation. Now I get it. Thanks. I'm not sure which part you were talking about, but I'm glad I was able to make it clear for you. That's what I try to do. I try to make sure you understand what's going on with the forecast. That's just the bottom line. That's what we do here. Let's take another look at some of the cameras out there. Let's see if we got one right now. Let's look at Lake Oroville. Let's take a look at that, and we'll take a look at some more cameras. And you know what? Before we do that, let me check the latest road conditions here. Oh, I see some popping up. Let's see if they popped up in my computer yet. There sometimes is a little bit of a delay from when Caltrans puts it up to when my computer picks it up. But let's take a look. Let's see if they popped up. They have not yet, but I'll show you where they are, and then we'll kind of go from there. All right, so let's do this. Where the chain requirements are right now coming out, and I'll go to the wall so you can kind of see better here, is Highway 89 right here. There are chain requirements in Highway 89. That's not a surprise, because if we look at all the cameras out there, let's take a look at some of the cameras. We can do that here in just a second. Got to get everything kind of loaded up here. There again, of course, I showed you where the chain requirements are. Let's take you to I-5 and look at Snowman Summit, Snowman Hill. We're seeing snow up there. Now that we're seeing some daylight, you can clearly see that, yes, we are seeing some of that rain-snow mix accumulating on the grassy areas, but still just a wet roadway. If we drop that temperature down just by a few degrees, I think it could transition over to snow on the highway. We'll see. We'll have to kind of watch it, monitor it here. Taking a look at Buckhorn Summit. This is, of course, below Buckhorn Summit. Looks wet. We'll kind of go through these here real quickly. There's Hatchet Mountain. Looks like they've got a truck there putting some sand and salt on the road there. Cedar Pass. Don't see much going on there either yet. There's a look at Shingletown. A little misty out there. We're also looking at Lassen Park. Bogard Ranger Station looks to be getting some light snow. You can see it's accumulating back on the highway again, it looks like, and you can see some of the tracks coming in from some of the cars driving through. Highway 36 at 89. Looks like we're starting to see some snowflakes there. For Donyers Summit, Doesn't look like we've got much going on there, but maybe some light snow. And again, just a quick reminder that you can check the latest road conditions from weathernorcal.com. Let's take a look at some cameras out there elsewhere. We'll kind of get some music going because we're wrapping up the show, although maybe we don't have to. Let's see what you all are doing out there. No. So let's do this. Sundial Bridge camera. There it is. Looking a little wet. So we're going to leave you with some cameras. And it is Friday, folks, so I get the weekend off. I'll, of course, be keeping an eye on the weather, but be sure to check in with Chase Wilson. He'll have your updates at 6 a.m., noon, and 6 p.m. 3 times a day with the latest forecast. And, of course, I'll be following this closely. I'll be on social media. And if need be, I'll, of course, as always, need to cut into and do some live updates. But we'll let Chase kind of just cover the general forecast, and I'll be keeping an eye on things here over the weekend. So until next Monday, you have yourselves a great Friday, have a great weekend, and we'll see you again Monday morning at 7 a.m. on Coffee with Krueger. Have a good one.